we're good to go.
Okay.
Pod number 2. Continue on with what you were saying about walking around Robina, the shopping centre.
I was going to say, I guess the question is, and there's 2 questions involved. One is, have we lost the battle? Is the battle lost? Can humankind make itself back into some semblance of healthy living standards? Is that possible? I think no, it's not possible. It's impossible. You'll get pockets of people doing it, but by and large, it's done. We're finished. We're just going to get fatter and dumber. And as I said, I was in Robina Shopping Centre. Even if you don't think that statement is true, if you don't think it's true, for me, it's like walking outside and it's raining and someone's standing there going, no, it isn't. That's what it is for me. You walk around Robina Shopping, or any shopping centre in Australia, mind you, and it's worse than the United States, as you well know. Go for a walk around Walmart and tell me what you see. Actually, it's so bad in Walmart, they make now videos and do collages of photographs of the people that go there.
That's true.
It's that bad. And it's like a lot of the time, the Walmart people, because they're dressed funny or they're this, that, but 99% of them are overweight.
That is kind of true. It's kind of funny as well. Some of those photo montages I've seen online, they are pretty funny. So,
and that's been going on for, and I'm walking around Robina Shopping Centre, and the fact that we now have massive food courts, which are in a circular in nature in this country, where you just walk around from one fast food place to the next. It just goes McDonald's, Burger King, KFC, Subway, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, they're just slightly more civilized feeding troughs for cattle. That's what it is. And that's
a good example. You're right. That's exactly what it looks like. That's exactly what it looks like.
Have you ever seen those massive farms where they rotate the feed around for the animals, and the animal doesn't even have to walk; it just stands there. This is what occurs in our shopping centres now, and then you ask yourself the question: can we still save? Is this savable? Can we go from that to something better? And the answer to me is no, we can't. It's done. It's finished. So,
and I think you're right, and I tend to agree. I suppose it's just that part of me, I don't want to believe it. I want to believe that at some point in time we can reverse that out, that we're smart enough. And you look at it today and you think, with technology that we have at our disposal, that we would actually be able to make substantial change. But I suppose there's so much money behind these big food companies now, big fast food companies, the Coca-Colas of the world and so forth, where they've just made it so convenient for people to actually eat poorly. And now I suppose the other thing is, with technology, Netflix and iPads and iPhones, whatever else, people move so much less. I don't know. It's such a shame that we've got to this point in life where I read the other day where apparently 70% of Australians are now considered overweight or obese.
And that number's not going down. It's going up.
But gym memberships are going up. The purchase of health monitors are going up. Apple Watches and these. This is the thing that amazes me the most: that the amount of people walking around now with some sort of smartwatch on their wrist, and or some sort of health monitoring device that they've obtained, whether it be a ring, which I wear, and a smartwatch. But look the way they look, before they join the gym, it's like, I'm thinking about joining the gym. I better go and buy myself a new watch. It's just, it's crazy.
How many fat people do you see in gyms?
That's an interesting question. I think some of the gyms I go to at the moment, it's a bit of a mix.
Yeah, not many up here. Most of the people you see in the gym don't need to be there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking yesterday. I was in the gym yesterday, and majority of the people in the gym, and it was a Sunday morning, admittedly, and I was thinking exactly that to myself. Classic Sunday morning, 9:30 or 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning on a long weekend, and the only people in the gym were super fit.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Really fit people that are doing really well.
Yes.
So, interestingly, go and look at Nike's apparel sort of sales and look at the ratio between how much they sell to athletes and how much do they just sell to fat people that want to wear Nike gear.
Yeah, of course.
Go to the Nike down here at Harbour Town, walk into the Nike store, and there's fat people walking around just buying Nike shirts. And I just think, why? Why are they buying Nike shoes? Like, what's the point? Just go to Kmart and get some loafers, because it doesn't make any sense to buy a shoe that's been, people have spent millions in R&D to do a function that you're going to just put on and watch Netflix in it.
Do you think Nike cares about that?
Nike doesn't care. Of course they don't care. They'll sell them anyway. And the funny thing is that Nike's now a two-tiered company where they make their really good gear that you actually can't buy in the store. You can't buy it. You've got to go online to buy the stuff that's really good for athletes. And the other stuff, they just stock because it's got pretty colours and people that just want to wear it and go, look at me, I'm wearing Nike, so therefore I am fit.
Yeah, a friend of mine used to be a designer at Nike, and I think she worked in the streetwear apparel section, or like the trend brands. It wasn't actually the sporting brands or the performance brands. It was actually in the trends, and that was interesting chatting to her about all the different trends coming out and how they follow those trends. But yeah, it's interesting. What I did read the other day, which I thought, and so I made a comment about this other week in one of the newsletters, about if we'll get to a point in the healthcare system of user pays, where basically, why should somebody that's out there trying to do the best all the time and making the most of their life, eating well, not drinking, not smoking, going to the gym, why should they pay this exorbitant healthcare fees when everyone else is actually don't care about their health and they're being, hospitalised all the time? We're paying for the healthcare. Apple have just launched, as of last week, their own healthcare. And basically everyone's saying, well, it was always coming. They've got so much data that they're reading from people's watches now, and these watches are getting better and better and better at reading data from your wrist in terms of, your resting heart rate and if people are inputting calories and so forth, that I wonder if that will be the path they take, where they can actually look at all the data coming off your watch and say, oh, you've walked, 300,000 steps this week. We're going to reduce your health cover because we know you're a lower risk.
Well, if you're a healthcare company, who do you want to insure?
Of course.
Where's your bang for buck coming from? Healthy people. You don't want all the others. It's like saying, you want to give house insurance in the Ring of Fire, in Indonesia in an earthquake zone. Like, why would you, as an insurance company, why would that be a priority for you? Doesn't make sense. So target all the really healthy people with your watches, keep an eye on them, and then reward them for not making claims. Reward them for not making claims. So reward
100%.
Giving me money for your healthcare, and I'm going to give you snippets of something if you never ask me for anything for the rest of your life. But
it's that ongoing battle with the pharmaceutical industry, right? They want you to stay alive as long as possible, but be sick as long as possible.
Yeah, absolutely true. And the weirdest thing is, and this is the biggest problem we have, I believe, right now, is that we live in an age where we have more access to information we've ever had. We are as educated as we've ever been in history. We're as wealthy as we've ever been in history, mostly, not for everyone, but a good chunk of Western society. And yet we're the most deluded we've ever been. That's the interesting thing. More access to information, but we're as deluded as we've ever been about the reality of the world we live in. And that's the problem, is everyone is deluded about what they think is reality and what's actually happening. And that's
we're probably the sickest we've ever been as well, overall. We're definitely the fattest we've ever been.
Yet longevity's going up.
Yes, but that's just from medicine, right?
From medicine, keeping people alive. Quality of life.
Yeah, correct. So people are still, once upon a time, and I don't know what the average numbers are, but if the average age people were living to was 70, now they're living to 80, but the last 10 years of their life hasn't changed, right? It's just a shit, crappy last 10 years.
Yeah. And interestingly, you'll always have people that will say that will want that because there's demand for that. But it's not,
Yeah, I read some interesting numbers during the week that only 2.6 of the national average healthcare spend in the US by healthcare companies is spent on preventative health. 2.6 of their spend.
Yeah.
So there's no money spent on actually making people, live a better life. It's all on once somebody gets sick. But what's really react for sure. What's really interesting is that some surveys that McKinsey have done is that the overall wellness or people's awareness to wellness and what they want out of wellness now is actually growing. And this is the chicken and egg stuff all the time. And we've had this conversation so many times around, people actually want to be healthier and do more exercise, but they just won't make that change. And I just don't get it. I just don't understand that thing in people's brain. And what you were saying before about being deluded, and I was having this conversation on the weekend with someone about how people actually see themselves when someone that's quite overweight and they refer to someone else as being really fat, and they actually don't see themselves as being that person. I'm like, I just don't understand it. Have you not actually picked up that mirror and had a good look? But, I don't know.
Someone made that comment about Trump the other day. Is it because he constantly attacks everyone about their weight?
Mm-hmm.
And someone said, has he looked in the mirror lately? He's morbidly obese. And
he
attacked Chris. Chris Christie from New Jersey has entered the presidential race.
No, I don't know.
And Trump had a crack at him and said, Chris Christie's only good when he's around a buffet, and had a crack at him. And everyone was like, what? And said, how could he be having a crack at Chris Christie? He hasn't looked at himself lately. But this is what people do, how you see yourself versus how you view the world. And he's in la-la land when it comes to stuff like that and his own weight and what he does. I mean, he sits around, he eats KFC and Burger King all the time. That's his staple diet. There's photographs of him doing it all the time. So,
it's pretty crazy. I just don't know. It's kind of it saddens me a little bit where we just live in this, as you said before, this deluded state where people just don't understand or don't see how the slippery slope they're going down and want to make the changes. I don't know.
Well, it's one of the things I say to people all the time when I get these people come to me and talk to me about these things. One of the things I say to them straight up, which I say they're forgotten and they need to be reminded of, they've forgotten what it feels like to feel well.
100%.
And therefore what they're currently feeling they think is normal.
100%.
It's like a smoker who thinks the way they feel is normal, but then they get on a program and they've stopped smoking for 3 months and they go, I can't believe it. I can't believe how I'm feeling, because they've forgotten. So the way you and I feel is because we've never forgotten it, because we've always sat in that space. We feel like that all the time and we think that's normal. And to go and have now and go out and have 20 beers or eat half the menu at McDonald's would make us feel sick, and we don't want to feel like that. So therefore, feeling sick or unwell, but these people that go to Macca's and just have their $30 worth of Macca's, they might feel a bit uncomfortable, but that's okay because that's normal, and they've just satisfied a big want in their life and a need that they want to have that food, and so they think that's normal. But it's not till you're off it for a while and you got that comparison to go, God, I used to feel like that. Now I feel like this. I never want to go back to that, which often a lot of smokers and alcoholics make that claim. I used to feel like this all the time and I felt normal. But now I'm away from it and have been for some time. This, I don't ever want to go back because now I feel great. But most people have just forgotten that. And when they get reminded of that, that's why AA is so successful and a lot of these drug rehab programs are so successful, because they implant that back in people's minds of what it feels like to feel well.
And I had this exact conversation the weekend about people that actually gain weight, and it's because it doesn't come on, or you don't gain the weight overnight.
Correct.
If you walked up to the average person and said, there's an extra 20 kilos on you today, carry around that tomorrow, they'd be saying, shit, what just happened? But because it's that gradual process over a 10 or 15 year period, and they've gained that 20 or 30 kilos and they look down one day, but they've got you so used to it. And I look at people all the time and I think about this when I see people trying to tie their shoes up.
Yep.
It's a classic. And then I think you've forgotten what it was like to tie your shoes up without that big belly hanging down in front of you. But it was so much easier. You know, you've forgotten what it was like to get out of a chair when you weren't so overweight. And that's the unfortunate problem, because it's just that slow, progressive thing. And it just catches up with people.
And that is, and it's funny because I had this conversation. I've got a guy at the moment, he's 103 kilos, 800 metre run. 103 kilo. But despite that, I know, he can still run 240. And he's in his 40s, but he can still bang out 2 minutes, 40 seconds for 800 metres. And I said, yesterday, he said to me, oh, God, if I get under 100. And I said, mate, what do you think at 100? I said, how fast do you reckon you run 800 if you're 80 kilo? I said,
could he be 80 kilos? Is he that top of build where he could get to that weight or not?
He's 6'4", so he's a big unit. But no, he probably couldn't be 80 kilo, but I think he could be 85.
Yeah.
But so he's equivalent right now. He's got 2 7.5 kilo shopping bags. He's trying to run 2 laps around a track in. Drop the bag, how much quicker are you going to get?
I know. It's just,
you know,
I don't know, mate. It's like I go back to that thing where I used to say all the time with training. Why can some people hurt themselves so much and we can't measure the pain? You know,
no.
Does that one person that can actually bury themselves, do they just not feel the same amount of pain as someone else that can't go to that level? Because we can't measure it. I think everyone has a higher pain tolerance. The people that can do that, there's something going on with them. But then there's those exceptional people that can go to a level that, you know, we look at and say, how can you hurt yourself so much? And I think it's like those people with losing weight as well. Yeah, I don't know.
They're allergic to pain. I can tell you now. Most of them are very much allergic to pain. And I see it in across broad reference of people, you know, from the Mike Lynch of the world. Or there's a guy up here like Mike when he ran that 400, 300 that time, which that famous video of him burying himself. And Gary did my training partner who did it last year. He had a 600. He ran a minute 30 for 600. Smashed himself.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
Short break. Walked around and did a 341 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah, and spent the next 30 minutes lying on the track.
Yeah.
Like he was in the same shape Mike was. But it's that. But what he feels and what athlete, the next person next to him, they can't do that. And it wouldn't matter if how you changed any of those metrics. They're just not prepared to inflict that level of pain upon themselves.
Yeah, but I also think there's something in those people that the pain tolerance is so high that it doesn't kick in for so long. They don't feel the pain, you know what I mean? Yeah. And we can't unfortunately measure that.
He looked in pain most of the time.
Sure.
He was, and it's funny, and it's like anything, is that people you'll it's like they say, you know, would you rush into a burning building to save someone? And you're saying, well, it depends on who it is. You know, if it was your child, well, then you'd go, oh, I'm straight in there. Well, what if it was the neighbour's child? Well, maybe. Or what if it was some child you'd never even knew? Well, probably not. What if that's just a dog? Well, what if it was a really nice dog? You know, what if it was
I'd be in there after the dog.
Yeah. What if it was a dog that was a stray dog that bit you on the leg last week? You want him in for him? Maybe not. So the thing is, there's these degrees of how much will I cause myself discomfort for a greater goal, and the answer to that a lot of the time is it depends. But arguably, I would say, is there any other greater goal than your own life?
Yeah,
I don't know. Clearly, there is, because people don't take that seriously. They literally, and I've got a guy that said it to me. He said, you know, I tried to lose. This is this guy at 181 kilo. He said to me, I had a go. Well, I didn't really like it. I want to go back to eating burgers and pizza and drinking 10 litres of Coke a day. And even though the doctor said I've got 5 years to live, I'll take that. That's good. That's a good result. 42.
Do you think that his actual brain really registers that though, and he really believes that? You know, no. I don't think he does. He doesn't think there's only 5 years.
You know when it's going to register? When he's got weeks to go.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, like comic book guy. Yeah, I blew it. That's when it'll register. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So it will register because you know, he's like 5 years can seem like a long time until it isn't.
I don't know what the solution is, mate.
There is
Maybe
one.
AI will solve some of these problems. I'm not sure.
Yeah. The way they'll solve it is they'll just get rid of humans.
Yeah.
So you guys had your chance, you blew it,
Well,
you're hopeless.
exactly. Well, it might make it worse that everyone gets forced to sit at home and they just get bigger and bigger. But what else you got? What else we got to talk about?
We'll talk only because it's reared its head back here again, and they're carrying on with it. It's doing my head in because I had to go and do training on it, which I hated. These stupid transgender athletes that keep going into women's sports and breaking records. Like, it's doing my head in. They brought some Z-grade soccer team out the other day to play the US women's soccer team. Did you see that? They're the best soccer team in the world. They won the World Cup.
The US.
The US, right? 12-0. And these guys weren't even trying. They were just wandering around. They weren't even trying. It was embarrassing. And one of the soccer players in the women's team, before they even started, made a huge announcement about how this is like, we should all be playing together and how fair it all is, and we're about to whip the boys now, and you're going to find out just how good we are. They walked around the field and just towed them up 12-0, and then thought, mate, we can't keep doing this. This is getting embarrassing. So,
Mate, I don't want to enter into this conversation. One, I'm not. I don't know. It's so controversial, and it's so. It shouldn't be. There was something I saw funny the other day where, and I don't know what it was. It was in a courthouse or in the Senate somewhere in the US, and they were talking about transgender and these topics. And then someone asked the guy that was on the stand, so are you telling me that if Mike Tyson identified as a woman, he should be able to go and fight women?
Yes.
And the guy said yes.
Yeah, I know. Like, come on. Even as a 5-year-old man, he's going to knock every woman out.
Every woman, right?
I don't care how good you are.
I've seen the guy on Instagram recently. He's still hitting the bag and knocking people flying at 55 or 56.
He bashed that guy on a plane recently. Do you remember he bashed that guy on a plane?
Yes.
So
I like him. I really like Tyson. I think he's, he went through a really tough time in life and he's turned himself around. He's actually quite funny. He said some quite humorous things. He's always at the UFC and he's obviously become really good friends with Dana White, the UFC, Craig, because he lives in Vegas. But, I don't know. It's such a weird subject. I mean, obviously, I feel sorry for the athletes, some of the athletes on both sides where they've been at the top of their game for a long time and somebody sort of comes along and, I don't know. Anyway, that's...
Women have been fighting for rights right across the board since humankind began. From day dot, the right to vote, the right to this, the right to do anything. And right when they start to get a bit of daylight, some genius turns around and goes, let's let the guys compete in all of your sports. How about that?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, how is that anything to do with, giving women a fair go?
Yeah.
And we don't have to bang on about this, and I'm happy not to. But there's only one thing I would say, which I've never had an answer to this question. If this is such a legitimate thing, and people are really going to argue this case of having men compete in women's sports, why aren't there a stack of women going the other way, identifying as men and want to compete in men's sports? Why aren't we seeing that? Why is it all one way?
Mate, it's such a controversial sort of weird topic.
Well,
I was listening to a podcast the other day. These guys that I told you I follow, My First Million guys, Sean and Sam, and I really like them. They're really funny. They're young guys. And he was saying that he went to a meeting the other day at work, and they've turned around at work and said, for women to be all-inclusive now, they've changed the spelling of the word woman, and it's now spelled WOMXN.
What does that mean?
Exactly his response. He said, and it's his company. He was sitting at the company meeting. He said, what does that actually mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Well, I think we have these pendulum swings all the time, right? We just go from one place to another. We go back and forwards, and we can never find this middle ground. These guys were making me laugh when they were talking about... sorry, say again?
I was saying, but this is just silly.
Yeah, I know.
It's silly.
These guys are making the comment about trends in life where, if tight, skinny jeans are in, that the next fashion trend to come is bell bottoms again.
Of course. Yeah.
So we just go around in this circle all the time. But anyway.
But the thing about jeans is that jeans, if you're a female or if you're a male and you want to wear different jeans, it's not going to put a gold medal at risk, and you're not going to get your head punched in. You know what I mean?
It's very true.
So there are implications for mixing, crossing these genders over and making life unfair for people. So it's just, and because just recently there's some guy just went in another college event over in the States and towed up. There was two of them in a race, they first and second, and smashed everybody, and broke all the records and all of this, and it just looked like two guys running in a women's race.
Yeah,
exactly what it was. But the thing is, as I keep saying, I'm not seeing any women doing it the other way around. I'm not seeing women, because there's plenty. By the way, there's men that identify as women and transgender and the whole thing, and it goes both ways. And as you would expect it to be, because it's a phenomenon that would exist on both sides of that of the gender. So it does go both ways. But we just don't see any women jumping into the ring with Mike Tyson for some weird reason. Why not? Why don't they do that? So there's something else going on that's causing men to want to compete against women, and we know what it is, because they know they can win.
Yeah, it's a crazy one. I don't know how we're going to resolve that one. Hopefully it just fades out and we get back to
the IAAF resolved it and said they're just not letting it happen. So at least they did it. And World Swimming followed suit and said, no, we don't care what you identify as. You can identify as a fur seal for a weekend, but you're not going in women's racing.
You're not going to the pool.
Yeah, you're just not doing it. So, for the same reason when Thorpe broke all the records in that fish suit, and they said, come on, take the fish suit off now. That'll do.
Exactly. Flipper. Flipper.
Yeah, flipper. I mean, it would be the same thing as if some bloke stood up on the blocks with a pair of flippers on. They went, what's this clown doing? Oh, no, he identifies as a fur seal.
Yeah.
Therefore, he's wearing flippers. That's how stupid it could be.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy, but...
Well, the world's crazy. It is.
On that note, we might sort of wrap up, unless you've got anything else to hit me with.
No, I was going to leave it. I had a few other topics that were actually not on fitness and health. I was just getting... it was more to do with some of the crazy stuff that's going on in the US at the moment. But we can certainly...
We'll leave that for the next one. All right. Well, that's a wrap.
Right.